Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of The Gavel, featuring attorney Ana Toledo. Ms. Toledo is the senior attorney and general counsel to Targeted Justice. She has a background in constitutional and environmental law and is an experienced litigator, including 2 cases at the U.S. Supreme Court. And here's Ms. Toledo.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 29 of the Gavel podcast, focused on bringing you the latest news regarding the end of government weaponization. I am your host, Ana Toledo, an attorney with 30 plus years experience in litigation, specializing in environmental and civil rights and environmental law. And I am also a victim of government weaponization. So like you, I have a very special interest in shutting down this criminal, unacknowledged special access program that has stolen so much from us. So our goal is not just to shut down the weapons in the United States, but also around the world, because, as many of you know, the greatest amount of people that are victims of government weaponization reside outside of the United States. Okay, I'm sorry. I was late today for preparing my show because I'm going to tell you in a little while. We had the first meeting with an actual congressman, and I'm not going to give you the details, but I am just so very happy and so very grateful to all of you that have supported this mission for freedom, because I know that it is going to set us free. Ana is here to stay until we are all free. So now, before we go into, I'm going to go into my Bible verse, but please like, share, and subscribe. It's the only way we can defeat the NSA criminals that have us censored everywhere. As you know, X is a mess. All of our accounts are hacked. It's a real problem. And the same with, everywhere else. I don't even bother fighting it anymore, because I know I have to focus my energy in fighting and shutting down the weapons. I cannot be worried about social media, but I am counting on you to be a digital warrior and repost this. Okay, so I am going to read to you from Romans 8:31, which it surprised me. Like, the entire chapter is really interesting, because it talks about, leaving the flesh behind. And one of the things that I have to be, almost grateful to the criminals is that my past life, which was partying and having fun and dancing and, living a worldly life, well, I left that behind to have a life of purpose. And for that, I am very grateful to God. And so the criminals didn't see coming that I would enjoy having found a purpose in life, not just partying and having fun. So thank you, criminals. Now it says, what then shall we say in response to these things? If God is for us, who can be against us? Absolutely no one. He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also, along with him, graciously give us all things? Who will bring any charge against those whom God has chosen? It is God who justifies. Who then is the one who condemns? No one. And as I have told you on many occasions before, we cannot stop trusting that God is on our side, strengthening us, and behind our cause for freedom. So again, please like, share, and subscribe. And the first things I'm going to present to you, they might seem a little like, things are not going as we want, but it is this J6er that he made a thread today on Twitter saying, on January 20th, President Trump signed an executive order to end the weaponization of government. Yet nearly half a year later, actually almost a year later, his staff have failed to carry it out. And as most of you that have been following me know, this has to do also not just with Blondie, that there's here in response to that executive order, Pam Bondi issued a memorandum to her staff and a working group that they were supposed to do quarterly updates to President Trump. Well, guess what? Like many other things that she promised, she didn't comply. She hasn't complied. Nearly a year has passed, and she has not complied with President Trump's executive order. Unfortunately, it's not just Bondi, because President Trump ordered the Director of National Intelligence towards Tulsi Gabbard within 45 days to prepare a report on the abuses of the intelligence community. Many of us have written to Tulsi. I constantly tag her. I don't know if she's muted me, because we know that that's one of the tactics that these government officials do. And the reason I know it is because one of them publicly stated it in Twitter. She said, I mute them and that's it. Well, you're not supposed to mute anybody, because these are constituents. These are people that are petitioning for redress. And if you work at the DOJ, you have a duty to listen to their claims, because nobody is going here to harass you for nothing. We are petitioning for redress of grievances. And that is the importance of all these digital warriors, because one day, one of the good FOIA request I'm tempted to do is, how many persons has this one muted? How many persons has this one muted on X? How many persons this one on the official account? Because that is public information. That is not supposed to be private. So let's see what they do. Anyway, so that is one of the things that I'm here to do. Pressure to conclude that report on the abuses of the intelligence community. That I don't know what's happening with Tulsi. I don't want to lose hope. I hope that she's just so busy and overwhelmed. But we have to see. We have to see, because at this point, I don't trust anybody until they show me that they're trustworthy, right? So, anyways, here's one man that I think we can trust.
Apparently, a former CIA operative talking about how they
let me play it from the beginning.
Not in Democrat counties, they'll shave votes. Not in Democrat counties. They'll shave a few percent using the machines in Republican counties where people aren't really suspecting it, where the vote total should have been 60%, but it's only 58%. Again, I don't know how they do it exactly, but I do know that we don't even come close to investigate voter fraud or welfare fraud. We don't put anywhere near the amount of effort that we should be putting into this.
Well, Senator, you just broke some huge news there. You're listening to do you have a CIA whistleblower that is saying that they're...
and again, is this true? Again, you hear all these things. This is on podcasts, some apparently CIA operative who's... But let's face it, I believe the CIA has doctored elections in other countries. That's probably indisputable.
Yes.
Those same types of operations, do those occur here in America? My guess is they do. Do I have hard evidence? No. But again, we just don't investigate it. The people, we're all harmed by it, but for example, the losing candidate, they don't have the funds. We don't have the time yet to certify these elections. So election fraud goes largely uninvestigated. We uncover, again, in your earlier segment, 500 phony registrations. It's just the tip of the iceberg.
There we go. The tip of the iceberg. He's one of us. He has Havana syndrome. And I love his expression, the tip of the iceberg, because the CIA criminals that are not allowed, that are illegally operating in the United States, as Stephen Miller said, well, this man is not afraid of them. Ron Johnson is not afraid of them. So please, Susan, if you're watching, Make it happen. Make that meeting happen, because we really need to bring him the receipts. Now, Jim Jordan, who he is now so upset because they were also doing surveillance on him. Well, he has called for a hearing, Mr. Jack Smith, and this hearing is supposed to happen on December 17th. I'm going to show up and, with my popcorn in hand, and I don't know if he will show, just like Judge Boasberg skipped his subpoena. But, not going to these hearings, if they put Steve Bannon in jail for not going to one of these hearings, I know, well, we don't know about Bondi, because she hasn't performed as many people have wished she had, but somebody has got to put the man in jail if they did it to Steve Bannon. Otherwise, it would be an unequal application of the law. So more shall be revealed with this. And for those of you that say, oh, that's Trump, that's Russiagate, no. This is about the abuse of surveillance on innocent Americans. And that completely spills on to our situation, because now you're going to see how these 8 senators and 1 representative are going to fight tooth and nail to not have the FISA reissued, as it's coming up for reissue in 2026. And for all of those of you in Mike Johnson's district, I ask that you make an active campaign to vote him out, because he's a rhino and he was the deciding vote. Because of him, our communications continue to be surveilled, obstructed, and all of the bad, illegal things these criminals at the FBI and SA and all of them do, and the InfraGard criminals. So vote him out for those of you that are in his district. Now, the next one, we have to, we are over 300,000 TIs. What is going on? I know that a lot of people don't know, but it is up to us to be active and put out there the information of what these people are doing and are not doing for the innocent Americans that are victims of government weaponization. So that is one way that you can end your targeting. Removing people like Cronin, who is a CIA asset, like Mike Johnson, like all the people that side with the renewal of FISA 702. Then you have the good guys, who is Thomas Massie, Ron Paul, who are Andy Biggs, who are completely opposed to it. Those are the people that you need to support and let them know why you support them. Now, the Boasberg impeachment is up. There was supposed to be hearings this week. He didn't show up. Targeted Justice has put out a post that I believe you should send it to your congressperson and to your senator, because everybody is focusing on Boasberg as, oh my God, he authorized the spying on these 8 or more senators and congressmen, and then ordered the companies to not tell them. Well, guess what? During his tenure as Chief Justice in the FISA court, because he served as Chief Justice in the FISA court, what did he do? He was the one that allowed the absolute outrageous abuse by the FBI criminals that checked over 278,000 times. See this, 300,000, 278,000. They're very similar. At the end of 2020 and early 2021, this coincides with the entrapment of the J6ers, that even though they don't want to admit it, they are targeted individuals, or they never got the facts. We need to send them the memo that they are targeted individuals, and they should be looking at Targeted Justice website and learning about it. Because I am seeing particularly one whose name I'm not going to say, but it's one of the famous J6ers. He's got wicked V2K, and he is off the charts because he doesn't understand. He needs to control that technology and not pay attention to it. Well, anyways, this is here one actionable thing that you can do as a victim of government weaponization, and that is that you can share this. You can share this poster. There you have it. When under his tenure, it was the scandal of the misuse or abuse by the FBI of the FISA database. And I didn't say this. Let me show you who said it here. Let me show you this article. This article is very important for you because in 2023, it was exposed how intelligence data, look at this. It says, a U.S. court found that the FBI improperly searched for information in a U.S. database of foreign intelligence 278,000 times over several years, including on Americans suspected of crimes, according to a ruling released on Friday. The decision of the FISA court was released by the ODNI. This was in 2023, okay? So, revelations came as U.S. President Joe Biden administration is trying to garner congressional support to keep surveillance powers under 702. Of course, again, this was in 2023. So, as a result of this scandal, supposedly the FBI tightened its Woods procedures. But you know what? I don't believe it because they continue to spying on you, on me, even though they must be bored to death listening to our conversations because we're not criminals. But they insist on maintaining us there. Why? Because they are so scared of doing otherwise. You know, they are so scared. So that's the deal with Mr. Boasberg here. And I think that justice is coming, not just for him, because today, President Trump undid all of Biden's executive orders signed with an auto pen, and the contracts and documents signed with an auto pen. You watch, the next thing that's going to come is that the judges whose nominations were signed with an auto pen, they're going to be rescinded, however you say it. You excuse me because, you know, Spanish is my first language. So, more shall be revealed. And in the context of Boasberg, you're going to see all the judges in the FISA court. Because here's the thing. These FISA warrants have been renewed on you over and over and over. And the FBI criminals have gone to that court saying, no, I need to renew this. And those judges committing violating their oath of office, they don't even interrogate these FBI criminals. Tell them, wait a minute, how many times have you asked for the same warrant on this person? How come you haven't obtained any evidence to charge her with anything? How come? No, I'm not going to give this to you anymore. But no, they look the other way. There is no stenographer in that unconstitutional court. And they continue giving the FBI everything they want. And Kash Patel over there, he's being lied to by the criminals from Comey and Ray that he has put in important positions. And I'm not saying that. It's been said by Mr. Kennedy, who is a whistleblower of the FBI. Patel had good intentions, but he is being misguided by criminals. Okay, so the next thing I wanted to cover with you is I know that on Sunday I did the presentation with Melissa, and the criminals interfered with my, with it, basically. So what I want you to do is, if possible, let me get it for you, is that I'm going to be uploading it. I promise. I have been so busy preparing for the meeting today, but I'm going to be uploading it to the Targeted Justice webpage, and I will post it also on Substack. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how it looks like. And I cannot, you don't understand how important it is that you actually do your Privacy Act request, read the law, and make it pursuant to the guidelines that I'm gonna be putting there. You know, a model. I'm gonna update the model because here we go. This is it. This is the presentation I made, and you know, do it for yourself. What did you do today to set yourself free? Well, this is something you can do for yourself. Okay, I'm working for you. I'm here to answer questions. Okay, so the Privacy Act gives you the right to go inspect with a person the files on you. And as I mentioned, and get copies of it. And you can do it in the jurisdiction where you live. Contrary to the people that live in Europe, that even though, let me just show you really fast, the people in Europe, in the European countries, can also request a Privacy Act request. Unfortunately, it's not available for anybody outside of those 27 countries. Okay. But the remedies for non-compliance, I have them here all in the presentation that it's going to be in targetedjustice.com/activism. So not only do you have a right for injunction, but also you have a right even for damages. And you have a right to demand that they correct the record on you. Why is it important? Why is it different now as opposed to 2 years ago? Well, the difference is simple. Now we have a Kash Patel. We don't know if he's going to live up to his word, but he said that he kicked down the prohibited access files door and restricted access, and that accountability is coming. Well, if you look at his book where he recommends that the first thing that needs to be done to shut down the deep state is a church committee, and we put all these things in a blender, what's supposed to happen is that you're supposed to get all the information in the entire Sentinel and eGuardian system, not just in the central record system, which is what they have been doing. Looking in this, it's like, just compare it to this. When, for those of you that have my age or a little bit more that used to go to a library and there was a card catalog, well, the central record system is just that little card catalog. But the Sentinel is like the entire internet. And every single little, even a little post-it that gets to them, they put it in there. These people are like, you know, obsessive compulsive with that. Even a phone log, even the text messages. That's how we got the text messages of the 2 FBI lovers that were texting to each other that President Trump was never going to be president. All of that is in that Sentinel system. And there's tons of, starting with your nomination form, and then all the investigation on you, all the photographs, everything. So they cannot just go to the card catalog and look for the cards, because they have to produce all records on you. Now, the people in the Europe here, the Judicial Redress Act extends the right to pursue certain civil remedies under the Privacy Act to citizens of designated countries, which are exclusively European countries and United Kingdom. So, Dom, this one's for you. You can also file your Privacy Act request. And I have to stop here and just give an immense show of gratitude to Dominic, because his documentary is changing the narrative in the entire world. And also to Sean, our volunteer, who has made it possible to share it in so many languages. So to those two warriors, you have all my respect and my gratitude. So please look into this. The Europeans, obviously, they don't have all the remedies, but honestly, what you want is you have the important remedies, which is the injunctive relief and the petition for the correction of records. So once you have in there that they show you your nomination form, because if they don't show it to us, we will file a lawsuit. We're still trying to figure out how we're going to do it, how is there going to be more chances that it'll be successful, okay? Because as many of you have seen the rogue judges that are not necessarily adhering to the law. Anyways, so the Europeans, there's a limited to designated federal agencies, but fortunately, DOJ, under which FBI is comprised, and DHS are included in these designated federal agencies. Okay, so that's good news. And we are going to, this is an important movement for us because we're going to corner these criminals into having to give us, the law is very clear. They have to show you, except very few, like if it's an ongoing criminal investigation, which we know they don't have on you, well, the law is clear. They don't get to choose where they look. They have to show you all your records in the agency. And guess what? Thanks to Chuck Grassley, we now know that they didn't look where they had to look. So that's going to be really good. Okay. And you all need to send it, and send it. I recommend you send it priority mail. You keep your tracking number. You have your little file. You scan it to keep a separate electronic copy in case the criminal's coming and steal them. Okay. Remember, if you have a backup plan, you know, the criminals have nothing to do. You have to think ahead. Okay, what if they will steal my papers? Okay, I will keep a digital copy in 2 different pen drives in 2 different places. Simple as that. I am making really good use of the safety tape, because you can put things inside that box, a little box, and tape it with a security tape and take a picture of it and put it in a safe place and take a picture of where you put it. And so if it's not there when you come back in the same exact position and situation and condition, guess what? You can do a police report. And that is the beginning of the end for the criminals that like to come into your house without your permission. Now, I wanted to show you we had Miguel here and we had Mari, and wanted to show you, we did these Christmas wishes videos, and we had a lot of fun doing them. So I just wanted to share with you the English one. The Spanish one, Mari and I laughed so hard. But for those of you that haven't seen it, here it is.
Hi, this is Richard Lighthouse in Washington, D.C. with part of our Targeted Justice team, wishing each and every one of you a
Merry Christmas! We had tons of fun doing that. And, you know, I wish we could accomplish freedom before Christmas, but the way I see it, it's going to take a lot of work. But it doesn't matter. Like I told you in the beginning of this Gavel, today we had the first meeting with an actual congressman who is very interested in the plight of the victims of Havana syndrome. And I'm not going to give many details about it, but I can only tell you that I am convinced that this is our moment, that they cannot sweep us under the rug anymore. And I am just so grateful and so blessed to be here fighting this fight. And before I leave you, I want to tell you a story, because I get these messages once in a while. Ana, come rescue me. Ana, what, you know, could you just shut this down? Well, guess what? I'm fighting here for everybody. And it is very frustrating for me to get that kind of message. First of all, because I don't have a rescue service. I don't have the means. And even if I did, I don't have any means to stop the scalar and satellite waves that the criminals fire at us. Don't forget, I am a victim too. I pretend, you know, I'm here happy for you because I want to convey the hope that I have of freedom. But that does not mean I am not targeted. That does not mean I don't get punished. But guess what? I make lemonade out of lemons. When they wake me up at night, I listen to my little radio, to my Christian station, and I urge you to do whatever, listen to. Don't listen to it in an iPhone or a smartphone. Listen to it in a little battery radio, and then you fall back asleep. You curtail the harm that the criminals do to you, because this is what they want, for you to be looking at the ceiling, sleep deprived. No. I just listen to that and I fall right back asleep, and it helps a lot with my R&M. So instead of complaining, oh, last night they woke me up at 3 a.m, no, I thoroughly enjoy it because I get to listen to these preachers that have wonderful recordings that they play in the wee hours of the morning. Force yourself to make lemonade out of lemons and taste it. Today, I put it in Instagram. I was waiting because Richard came from Houston to meet for this meeting. And while I was waiting, while he was making some copies, some crazy perp went by in a car, and she actually screamed at me an insult, like literally, like in Spanish. And I just like, oh my God, I should have taken the camera out because it was so hilarious. I said, is this the best you can do, criminals? Really? It's like so funny to me. But going back to come rescue me thing, when I was I was targeted, but I didn't know. I had the privilege and the honor of watching the Captain Sully, who saved like 263 people in that flight that had to land in the Hudson River. And he's a great keynote speaker, amazing. And one of the things that he would say, somebody asked him, did you think of your family when you were in, he only had something like 200 and maybe 30 seconds to save that plane full of people, to act. He said, well, at that moment when I realized I'd lost that engine, I realized how much time I had. And I think it was something like 200 and something seconds. He didn't even speak about it in minutes. He spoke about it in seconds. And he said, and I realized that I couldn't waste a single second thinking about myself or thinking about my family, because I had an obligation towards all these passengers and my crew. And I say the same to you. I don't have the means, the technology, or the capacity to come rescue anyone. I am here in DC fighting for all of you. Even the last person, like dear one in Malaysia. Please don't do that to me, because it really makes me very sad to see that people cannot grasp the depth and the importance of what I'm doing here. It's not that I don't care. It's that I am here for the greater good. And even if I was, oh my God, I want to come rescue this person, I don't have the means. Because there's nothing that I can do against these weapons unless I convince people here to shut them down. So when writing to me, I urge you, please be a little bit considerate and don't put me in this position, because it's very painful. I am trying my hardest. I work every day. Since I get up in the morning, since I go back to bed at night, which many of you that see me on X, I'm until very late. I am working to shut these weapons down and these gang stalkers and these criminals down. So please don't make me feel bad for not being able to come rescue you if you're getting attacked. And that's all I had to say. I thank you all for your support, because it just keeps me going. And I'm sure I'm going to bring you really good nukes next week. So I hope that, let me check the comments here. Also, I want to thank all of you, the 14 of you that sent me your sworn statements, sworn affidavits. I handed them over today under strict confidentiality. And I want to thank you, because that is what this is about. When you can do something to shut down this program, you should do it. And I am just so grateful to all of you that got back to me and sent me your affidavit. Every single one of you that sent me the affidavit, I put it in the hands of this congressman who is very concerned about Havana syndrome in the United States. And now he knows that there are at least 14 certified civilian victims. And for that, I am very grateful. I'm very grateful that you trusted me, because I am here to give it all for you all. Thank you so much. And I hope to see you next week with really good news. Have a nice night.